Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to Kids Church this morning. I'm so glad you can join us for today's lesson. But before we get into it, we're going to do a small recap on the last couple of lessons. So, I've heard you guys have been learning about God's creation and how Adam and Eve disobeyed God. So, God created all of the trees, the clouds, and the sky. And he asked Adam and Eve not to eat a fruit from a certain tree. But that's exactly what Adam and Eve did. They ate the fruit. So now the world's not perfect. But today you're going to be learning about a man named Noah.
Secret, it's not a fairy tale, it's not made up. Jonah was in a whale for 3 whole days. 1, 2, 3. The greatest treasure, the word God's people wrote. It's in the Bible, when Noah built a boat, and it rained and rained. The rainbows in the sky to show God's promises are true. And the rainbows in the sky to show the world He's the only way for your everyday. The greatest treasure, the word God's people wrote. It's in the Bible, when Noah built a boat, and it rained and rained. The rainbows in the sky to show God's promises are true. And the rainbows in the sky to show the world He's the only way. The rainbows in the sky to show God's promises are true. And the rainbows in the sky to show the world He's the only way for your everyday. The rainbows in the sky to show God's promises are true. And the rainbows in the sky to show the world He's the only way. The rainbows in the sky to show God's promises are true. And the rainbows in the sky to show the world He's the only way for your everyday. He's the only way for your everyday.
Have you heard of the one called Savior? Have you heard of His perfect love? Have you heard of the one in heaven? Have you heard how He gave His Son? 'Cause I have found this love, I believe in the Son. Show me your way. Jesus, you are my best friend, and you will always be. Nothing will ever change that. Jesus, you are my best friend, and you will always be, and nothing will ever change that. I believe in the one called Savior. I believe He's the risen one. I believe that I'll live forever. I believe that my King will come, 'cause I have found this love, I believe in the Son. Show me your way. nothing will ever change that. Jesus, you are my best friend, and you will always be, and nothing will ever change that. You will always be, forever you and me. Oh, nothing will ever change this. You are my best friend, and you will always be, and nothing will ever change that. Jesus, you are my best friend, you are my best friend, you will always be, and nothing will ever change that. And nothing will ever change that. Nothing will ever change that. You will nothing will ever change that. Nothing will ever change that.
Zonda Kids presents the Jesus Storybook Bible. Every story whispers his name. Written by Sally Lloyd-Jones and read by David Suchet. A new beginning. Time passed and many people filled the earth. Everyone everywhere had forgotten about God and were only doing bad things all the time. God's heart was filled with pain when he saw what had happened to the world he loved. Everywhere was disease and death and destruction, all the things God hates most. Now, Noah was God's friend, which was odd in those days because no one else was. But Noah listened to God. He talked to God. He just loved being with God, like you do with your best friend. Noah, God said, things have gone wrong. People have filled my world with hate instead of love. They're destroying themselves and each other and my world. And I must stop them. First, we'll build an ark. Do you know how to build an ark? Neither did Noah. Luckily, God knew, and he would show him. A storm is coming, God told Noah. But I will rescue you, I promise. I'll send the animals to you, ones that creep and crawl and slither and slime and gallop and hop and bound and climb. And don't forget to pack everyone's food. The storm was going to wash away all the hate and sadness and everything that had gone wrong and make the world clean again. God had thought up a way to keep Noah safe, but Noah would have to trust God and do exactly what God told him. So Noah built an ark. That's short for a very large boat. Noah's neighbours came out to watch and point and laugh because they didn't believe Noah about the boat or the storm or needing to be rescued. And Noah must have looked rather silly. His boat was in the desert. The desert was nowhere near the sea, and there wasn't even a cloud in the sky. Why would anyone need an umbrella, let alone a boat? But Noah didn't mind so much what other people thought. He minded what God thought. So he just did what God told him to do. When the ark was ready, God said, "All aboard!" And Noah's family and all the animals climbed inside. Then God shut the door. And it started raining. For minutes that joined up into hours, that joined up into days, that joined up into weeks and weeks. And the rain joined up into puddles, that joined up into rivers, that joined up into lakes, that joined up into a flood that covered the whole world. Their boat, that had once seemed so big, suddenly seemed very small. But in the middle of the huge storm, in the crashing waves, in all the thunder and lightning, and through it all, God was with them, and God kept them safe for 40 long days and 40 long nights. Finally, the rain stopped. The sun came out, and Noah threw open all the windows. "Hooray!" everyone shouted. Noah sent his dove out to explore, and it wasn't long before she brought him back a fresh olive leaf. Now, everyone knew exactly what that meant. She had found a tree and land. The water was going down. At last, the boat landed quite suddenly on top of a great mountain. As soon as it was safe, God said, "Out you come!" And so they did, everyone skipping and dancing onto dry land. The first thing Noah did was to thank God for rescuing them, just as he had promised. And the first thing God did was make another promise. "I won't ever destroy the world again." And like a warrior who puts away his bow and arrow at the end of a great battle, God said, "See, I have hung up my bow in the clouds." And there, in the clouds, just where the storm meets the sun, was a beautiful bow made of light. A rainbow. It was a new beginning in God's world. It wasn't long before everything went wrong again. But God wasn't surprised. He knew this would happen. That's why, before the beginning of time, he had another plan. A better plan. A plan not to destroy the world, but to rescue it. A plan to one day send his own Son, the rescuer. God's strong anger against hate and sadness and death would come down once more, but not on his people or his world. No, God's war bow was not pointing down at his people. It was pointing up into the heart of heaven.
Now it's time for the memory verse. Let's see what we can find. Okay, now we've got it up. So, let's say the verse together. Genesis chapter 6 verse 5, "The Lord saw that the human heart was only evil."
Wow, imagine being stuck inside with your family for weeks and weeks and weeks. Well, at least we don't have all the smelly animals inside. God sent a rainbow as a promise to never again send a flood to destroy the world. The world did go wrong again, but God had another plan. Just like he rescued Noah and his family, God was going to send Jesus to rescue us. If you would like to get creative this week, you could draw or make a rainbow to remember God's promise. We'll show you some ideas that Sophie, Caleb, Zach and Talia came up with, but you can use what you have at home and create it however you want. And you could even brighten our day by sharing it with us at rpcc.pastoral@gmail.com. God bless. Have a great week.